We looked at over 30 clinical studies from Harvard, King's College London, and the American Heart Association to rank the 10 best foods for heart health by one standard. How strong is the actual evidence? Not opinions, not trends. Published research tracking thousands of people over years. We prioritized randomized controlled trials, the gold standard in medical research, and large prospective studies over single observations. We also factored in something most lists ignore: whether you can actually buy it, afford it, and eat it every week. The number one food on this list costs less than $2, and it's backed by more clinical evidence than many popular heart supplements. Starting at number 10. Number 10, green tea. A 2025 study from King's College London published in BMC Medicine tracked over 3,100 adults for 11 years. They found that people who consistently ate polyphenol-rich foods, and tea was one of the key ones, had lower cardiovascular risk scores over time. Their blood pressure and cholesterol profiles were healthier. The compound doing the heavy lifting is called catechins, specifically EGCG. These are polyphenols, natural plant compounds that help reduce oxidative stress in your blood vessels. So what does this mean for you? Brew it yourself. Steep 3 to 5 minutes for maximum catechins. Skip the milk. There's evidence that casein in dairy can bind to those catechins and reduce absorption. A box of green tea bags runs about $3 to $4 for 20 cups, under 20 cents a serving. Polyphenols, remember that word. You'll hear it again on this list. Green tea is solid. But it's number 10 because the evidence is mostly observational. The foods ahead have stronger data behind them. Number 9, beets. Your body makes a molecule called nitric oxide. It relaxes blood vessels, widens them, lets blood flow more easily. Beets are loaded with dietary nitrates, the raw material your body converts into nitric oxide. A meta-analysis in Advances in Nutrition found that beetroot juice supplementation reduced systolic blood pressure by approximately 3.5 millimeters of mercury. Sounds small? At a population level, even a 2-point blood pressure drop is associated with meaningful reductions in heart attack and stroke risk. Now, you might have heard nitrates are dangerous. That's sodium nitrate in processed deli meats combined with high heat. Completely different. Naturally occurring nitrates in vegetables come with antioxidants that prevent the harmful conversion. Same word, different chemistry. Roast them, toss them in a salad, or grab a can for about $1.50. Beetroot powder also works, roughly $15 for a month's supply. Beets are strong for blood pressure, but the next food works across multiple heart markers at once. Number 8, dark chocolate. Yes, really. The King's College London study included cocoa in their polyphenol dietary score, and the Cosmos trial, over 21,000 adults, primarily studied cognitive outcomes, but secondary analysis showed signals of cardiovascular benefit from cocoa flavanols. That finding needs dedicated follow-up, but it's consistent with smaller studies on cacao and blood vessel function. Dark chocolate is also one of the richest food sources of magnesium, a mineral most Americans don't get enough of. Magnesium helps regulate heart rhythm and blood pressure. A bar of 85% dark chocolate, about $3, lasts a week at 1 to 2 squares a day. That's roughly 40 cents a day. A flavanol supplement, $25 to $30 a month. Same compounds, fraction of the cost. Choose 70% cocoa or higher. Check the sugar. Some bars labeled dark have more sugar than cocoa. 1 ounce a day is the sweet spot in most studies. Now, everything so far has been something you add to your diet. The entries ahead are different. They replace less healthy choices you're already making. That's where the evidence gets stronger and the impact gets bigger. Number 7, beans and legumes. The most underrated food in the grocery store. A dose-response meta-analysis in nutrition, metabolism, and cardiovascular diseases reviewed 26 observational studies. Regular legume consumption was associated with a 10% lower risk of coronary heart disease. The optimal intake, about 400 grams per week, roughly 4 servings. Newer data, preliminary findings presented at Nutrition 2025 from researchers at the Illinois Institute of Technology in a 12-week study of 72 adults with prediabetes. Chickpea consumption was associated with total cholesterol dropping from 200 to 186 milligrams per deciliter. Black bean consumption linked to a 27% reduction in the inflammatory marker IL-6. These results are awaiting peer-reviewed publication, but they fit a larger pattern. Here's why beans punch above their weight. They deliver soluble fiber, which binds to cholesterol and helps remove it. Potassium, which helps regulate blood pressure. Plant protein, which replaces saturated fat sources. And fermentable fiber, which feeds beneficial gut bacteria, reducing systemic inflammation. 4 mechanisms. 1 food, under $1. A can of black beans, 89 cents. 7 grams of fiber and 7 grams of protein per half cup. No cholesterol, no saturated fat. Every blue zone in the world: Sardinia, Okinawa, Nicoya, Icarus, Loma Linda. Different cultures, different climates, completely different diets. But they all eat beans. Every single one. At 89 cents a can, this might be the most evidence-backed bargain in the grocery store. Start with canned. Drain and rinse to cut sodium by about 40%. Add half a can to any soup, salad, or rice dish you're already making. Beans are powerful. But the next food has something the American Heart Association specifically singles out above every other vegetable category. Number 6. Leafy greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula. The American Heart Association has noted that increased leafy green intake is linked to greater cardiovascular benefits than other fruits and vegetables. Not all produce is equal for your heart. Leafy greens sit at the top. 3 mechanisms in one food. Dietary nitrates, same pathway as beets. Vitamin K supports arterial flexibility and helps prevent calcium buildup in vessel walls. And folate, which helps lower homocysteine, an amino acid that's an independent cardiovascular risk factor. If you're over 50, that last one deserves attention. Homocysteine levels tend to rise with age. Most Americans don't get enough folate from food. A cup of cooked spinach gives you roughly 65% of your daily needs. Fresh or frozen, both work. Frozen is often the smarter buy. Picked and flash frozen at Peak Nutrition. A bag of frozen spinach costs about $1.50 for over 5 servings. Fresh spinach runs about $3 for a 5-ounce bag, half the quantity at double the price. Toss frozen spinach into eggs, soups, smoothies. 5 seconds of effort. Leafy greens are strong, but the next food climbs higher because it has something most vegetables don't: a specific type of fat that actively improves your cholesterol numbers. Number 5. Walnuts. The WAHA Trial, published in Circulation, the AHA's flagship journal, is the largest and longest nut trial ever conducted. 708 adults aged 63 to 79 across Barcelona and California. 2-year randomized controlled trial. The group eating about half a cup of walnuts daily saw LDL cholesterol drop by 4.3 milligrams per deciliter. Total LDL particles decreased 4.3%, and small, dense LDL, the kind most associated with plaque buildup, dropped 6.1%. A 2024 meta-analysis in nutrition, metabolism, and cardiovascular diseases pooled 113 randomized controlled trials with 8,060 adults and confirmed nut consumption significantly reduces total cholesterol and LDL. Walnuts are unique among nuts, highest in ALA omega-3. They don't just lower LDL levels, they improve the quality of LDL particles. That dual effect explains why the evidence is so consistent. People avoid nuts because they're high in fat. The WAHA Trial tracked weight for 2 years. The walnut group didn't gain weight. A quarter cup a day, a small handful. A 16-ounce bag, roughly $6 to $8, lasts over 2 weeks. About 40 to 50 cents a day. Add them to oatmeal, salads, or eat as a snack. Of course, individual responses vary. What works in large studies may differ for you. Working with your doctor matters, especially if you have existing heart conditions. Nuts improve cholesterol markers, but the next food is linked to a measurable reduction in actual cardiovascular events, not just numbers on a lab report. Number 4, avocados. A 30-year prospective study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association in 2022. Researchers from Harvard tracked 110,487 adults through the Nurses' Health Study and Health Professionals Follow-Up Study. After adjusting for lifestyle and dietary factors, those eating at least 2 servings of avocado per week had a 16% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and a 21% lower risk of coronary heart disease. That's an association, not proven causation, but it's across a massive population over 3 decades. What made this study especially useful? They measured substitution. Replacing half a daily serving of processed meat, cheese, or butter with avocado was associated with a 16 to 22% lower cardiovascular risk. Avocados are over 70% monounsaturated fat, the same kind in olive oil, plus potassium. One whole avocado delivers about 728 milligrams, more than a banana. The swap is simple. Replace an afternoon cheese snack with half an avocado. Similar calories, but you're trading saturated fat for monounsaturated fat and adding potassium your heart uses to regulate blood pressure. At the time of research, early 2026, avocados cost roughly $1 to $1.50 each, varying by season and location. Cut in half, squeeze lemon, pinch of salt. Avocados scored high because of that Harvard study's sheer scale. But the next 3 foods have even stronger evidence, including trials measuring actual heart events. Number 3. Whole grains, oats, quinoa, brown rice. A 2026 study published in JACC, the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, analyzed data from 198,473 adults across 3 major Harvard cohorts. The finding, what matters most for heart health, isn't whether your diet is low-carb or low-fat. It's the quality of the foods you choose. Diets emphasizing whole grains, plant-based foods, and healthy fats were linked to lower coronary heart disease risk, regardless of macronutrient ratio. Oats specifically have something rare, an FDA-authorized health claim. 3 grams per day of oat beta-glucan, the soluble fiber in oats, may reduce cholesterol. That's one of the few foods the FDA allows to make a specific cholesterol reduction claim. Beta-glucan forms a gel in your gut that binds to cholesterol-rich bile acids. Your body pulls cholesterol from blood to make new bile. Net effect: lower LDL. Simple mechanism, strong evidence. But here's what trips people up. Flip over your bread. Read the first ingredient. If it says enriched wheat flour, that's not whole grain. That's white bread in a brown wrapper. Real whole grain bread lists whole wheat flour or whole oats first, with at least 3 grams of fiber per slice. Most commercial whole wheat bread doesn't pass that test. The label says healthy, and the ingredients tell a different story. Steel-cut or rolled oats. About $3 a canister, lasts 2 to 3 weeks. Roughly 15 to 20 cents per serving. One of the cheapest breakfasts that exist. Whole grains have FDA-level evidence. The next 2 foods have something rarer, large-scale clinical trials measuring actual cardiovascular events. Number 2, extra virgin olive oil. The PREDIMED Trial, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, corrected and republished in 2018 after researchers addressed randomization issues, remains the largest dietary intervention trial for heart disease prevention. 7,447 adults at high cardiovascular risk, nearly 5 years. The core finding held through reanalysis: a Mediterranean diet with extra virgin olive oil reduced major cardiovascular events, heart attacks, strokes, cardiovascular death by approximately 30%. A 2025 follow-up analysis in the American Heart Journal found that participants with the highest extra virgin olive oil intake had a 25% lower risk of a composite cardiovascular outcome. Common olive oil, the refined kind, showed weaker results. The polyphenols in extra virgin are what separates it. Extra virgin olive oil contains oleocanthal and hydroxytyrosol, polyphenols that reduce oxidation of LDL particles. And oxidized LDL is what actually forms plaque in arteries, not just LDL itself, the oxidized version. Let me put this in perspective. Most heart supplements on a store shelf have 0 randomized controlled trials showing they prevent heart events. Extra virgin olive oil has the PREDIMED Trial, 7,447 people, nearly 5 years. the New England Journal of Medicine, and it costs about 30 cents a day. That's it. 3 things on the label. 1. Extra virgin, not olive oil or light olive oil, which are refined and stripped of polyphenols. 2. A harvest date, not just expiration. Fresher means more active compounds. 3. A dark bottle. Light degrades the polyphenols. Quality EVOO, $8 to $12 a bottle at the time of this research. Lasts 3 to 4 weeks. EVOO is number 2 because one food has even more evidence across more studies, more populations, more decades, and you can get it for less than the price of a coffee. Number 1. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. This is the most consistently supported dietary recommendation in cardiovascular medicine. The American Heart Association recommends 2 servings per week. The 2025 to 2030 dietary guidelines explicitly recommend omega-3 rich seafood. Meta-analyses in JAMA confirm the association between fish consumption and reduced coronary heart disease mortality. Here's why fatty fish sits at number 1. It doesn't improve just one marker, EPA and DHA. The omega-3 fatty acids in fatty fish are the pathways most consistently supported by research for lowering triglycerides, reducing chronic inflammation, improving arterial function, and stabilizing heart rhythm. 4 independent cardiovascular mechanisms from one food. Unlike plant-based omega-3s, the ALA in flaxseed and walnuts, EPA and DHA are already in their final form. Your body doesn't need to convert them. ALA conversion to DHA can be as low as 1%. With fatty fish, you're getting the finished product. There's also an important nuance. The VITAL trial showed modest benefits from omega-3 supplements, but observational data consistently shows whole fish delivers stronger associations with heart protection than capsules alone. Fish provides selenium, vitamin D, high-quality protein, and it replaces less healthy protein sources. It's the whole package. A can of sardines, about $1.50. 23 grams of protein, over a gram of EPA and DHA, calcium from the bones, vitamin D, a fish oil supplement, $15 to $30 a bottle. And the evidence says whole fish outperforms the capsules. $1.50. That's the cheapest heart protective food in the grocery store. If you're over 60, EPA and DHA become even more relevant. They help maintain cell membrane flexibility as arteries naturally stiffen with age. If lunch is usually a sandwich, try canned salmon or sardines on toast with lemon and pepper. 5 minutes, under $2. More omega-3s than most Americans get in a week. Replace 1 red meat dinner per week with salmon or mackerel. The AHA calls that one of the most evidence-supported dietary changes you can make. And that's the pattern across this entire list. The foods with the strongest evidence for your heart aren't exotic. They aren't expensive. Oats, beans, olive oil, leafy greens, and fish. They've been around for thousands of years. The evidence just finally caught up. Here's what to do this week. Step 1. Next grocery trip. Pick up 1 can of sardines or salmon and 1 can of beans. Total in about $3. Try the sardines on toast with lemon. Add the beans to whatever you're already cooking. Step 2. Check your bread label. First ingredient should be whole wheat flour or whole oats, not enriched. If it doesn't say whole, swap it. Step 3. If you're buying cooking oil, switch to extra virgin olive oil. Look for a harvest date on the bottle. Use it for everything, cooking and salads. Remember what we started with. Which foods actually have the evidence behind them? Now you know. And none of them cost more than a few dollars. Heart-healthy eating doesn't require a big budget or a complicated plan. It starts with 1 swap, 1 grocery trip, 1 week at a time. This video is for educational purposes, not medical advice. If you have a heart condition, talk to your doctor about what's right for you. If this was useful, subscribing helps more people find evidence-based nutrition content. We've got a deep dive on the worst foods for your heart coming next.